Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and everyone outside and in between. I'm Blue Six and I'm a circus performer for Infinity Circus. Now, a friend earlier on asked me a question about basics of juggling and asked me, does it matter what you use when you want to learn? So it is quite important that you get things that are basically the same weight. So personally, I would still recommend, if you wanted to learn to juggle, to buy a set of 3 balls. However, one of the reasons you kind of have to, I recommend, is the fact that if you get a set of balls, they'll all be the same size, weight and texture. If they are different sizes, then there'll be different weights. And when you're practicing and learning, if you're throwing a ball and one is a different weight or feeling to the other, you will notice and it will kind of distract you. And so basically, if you're learning, always try and make sure that they are the same weight, size and texture. So these are basically my professional ones during performances. These are very grippy. If you get like a standard set of juggling balls, they tend to be kind of like a faux leather, which are very useful, but some might be a bit slicker, so harder to grip. But I'd still recommend just getting a set of juggling balls. Now, as it's coming up to Christmas, you can get novelty juggling balls of different shapes and stuff, which I do not recommend. In fact, if you wanted to buy someone a set of juggling balls for Christmas, don't get like a set of 3 juggling balls that are a snowman, for example, because some of them will have little hands sticking out or might be slightly different sizes, and that will be distracting when you practice. So I think one of my friends once got me a set of fake poos to juggle, which were very awkward to practice, as they were more cone shaped and the weight was at the bottom and not the top. So if they was to land, if the tip was to land in your hand, then the weight distribution you wouldn't be able to predict where the weight would tilt to catch it properly. So once again, if you was to buy yourself a set of juggling balls or wanted to do it for someone else, make sure they're just a standard set, nothing particularly fancy or weird shapes, just because the weight distribution will be very tricky to kind of practice with. Because as I said, if it lands in your hand like this, the weight is always going to stay in the center, whilst if it's an odd shape, you catch it in one part and you might not be able to tell which way it's going to go. But that's my basic advice on if you wanted to get yourself a set of juggling balls and learn. So yeah, hope you enjoyed and I'll catch you later.